First item on the agenda, we'll start with is our board appointments. We have 2 of them. The first is for, let's see. Mr. Watson, did you have? Jenny Minor, did you want to address us?
Pardon?
I said, did you want to have a few words to say? You were asking me.
It's a reappointment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Hi, I'm Jenny. I have been on the DDA for the last 3 years, so it's a reappointment. I've enjoyed my time there. I appreciate being appointed and doing work on behalf of the city. Any questions?
So how you feel about being on the downtown authority? You see a lot of accomplishments in it?
Well, I think over the last couple of years, we've been working to do more and more, working with the farmers market, trying to get some advertising done with them, trying to do some things around economic development. What can we do with some of the buildings the way they are right now? And then looking at historical markers throughout the community. What are the things that are important that can really kind of retain some heritage and make our downtown unique?
Thank you, Ms. Grant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one is Richard Hensel for library appointment. Want to address the council?
Hello.
How are you?
So,
Fine, thank you. Good evening.
The floor is yours.
I'm here to be considered for reappointment to the Benton Harbor Public Library Board. I've been serving for a while now and enjoy the work. And I hope that I'll be able to continue through its 120th year, which is what we're celebrating right now.
Mr. Hanson, so, being a library board member, I watched your expertise a couple of years now. I think you do a great job, and I think you're a big asset to the library board. So I support the appointment. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go before the commission.
Thank you.
So is Mr. Miguel Clark here? Go ahead, Mr. Clark.
Hello, as he stated, my name is Miguel Clark, and I'd like to be on the Brook Mill and Van Ness board. I recently just ended my term in communication, and I like to get involved with the city and more. And I got a lot of ideas, and I'm young, and I'll get involved more.
Questions for Mr. Clark? Thank you, Mr. Clark, for serving.
I got a question, Mr. Clark. How are you doing?
All right.
I'm the personnel finance chair, so if you get appointed to this board, you like spending money,
Oh yeah.
make good decisions,
Yeah.
good man. See, I know you come to a lot of the meetings and you was on the communication board for a while.
Yeah. Yes. It's coming along, that as I was on the department, but, the first year I I work 2 jobs. I work at Walmart and the hospital, so I initially like every other meeting, but now I have more time.
I think it's the third Wednesday of the month.
You make it.
Thank you. All right, there is, thank you, Mr. Falk.
Thank you.
That is the last board appointment. Again, thank you guys for serving. People are not beating down the doors to serve in our community, so we should be, but
Yeah.
thank you guys for serving. The next item on our agenda is appointment of tax appeal and board members. Is Mr.
So, terms up for the chair, all of them?
Porfield.
Three of them.
So we'll be doing a resolution. We'll come back to that one.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So let's go to the presentation since you guys are here.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. We bring up one more chair. You got 3 of us?
Just for-
Good evening, how you guys doing?
Good evening, all right.
Great. Well, we just wanted to have a chance to talk about our program, some of the things that we're trying to accomplish and who we are and what we're doing since we're right here in downtown Benton Harbor. My name is Caleb Weeks, I'm the Youth Build Director. I've been on here for 2 years now. I don't know if anyone's very educated on what Youth Build is, but it is a Department of Labor funded program. We've been here in Benton Harbor for about 12 years now. We run off of 3-year-long grants, and we just got awarded our first year of this next 3-year grant right now. And so we're very excited about what's happening. We serve 16 to 24-year-old students, and our goal is when a student comes into our door that we help them get their GED or their high school diploma, help them get certified in an industry that they're interested in. And right now we're focusing on construction and healthcare. We help provide training for professional skills, building up their character, and then we want to connect them to either an apprenticeship or employment afterwards. So our goal is to help the students really just become the best version of themselves. So with our program, our strategy is to create a sense of family. And there's one word that we always use when we talk about Youth Build. You guys remember what the word is?
Family.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah, family. That's important to us as we try to create a sense of family, a safe place. And one of the biggest tools that we have at our disposal is our training shop. We take our students there every day where they can practice safely in a safe environment, using tools and learning their skills. And then we take them out in the community and work on a house. You guys might have noticed that we moved into one of the buildings here in downtown. It's the old Chet Nichols building, right down here. Yep. Once we moved in there, we started work on painting it and bringing that building back to life. It was vacant for quite a while. I don't know how many years it was empty, but we moved in, and our desire was to turn it into the home of our program. So as of now, we have an area, it's a small wood shop that will be teaching the students hands-on training. We have workbenches for them. We have a dust collector. We have a place to lock away our tools safely. We're in the middle of building bathrooms. And then on the other side, we have a small, it's about half court, maybe a little less than half court basketball court, a table to eat dinner at, ping pong table, a place to spend time with, just together as a family. And so our goal is to take that building and really leverage it for our youth and our community. And what we'd like to do is create relationships with employers that will be willing to meet us halfway, because our students that we're working with, we want to help them be successful, but we can only do so much. So we're looking for employers who will be with us, take up our students when we're done, and kind of carry them on to be successful. I do have some photos here. I don't know how I can show them, or if that's possible, or if I could email them to you guys to show you the progress of what we've done. Email them afterwards? Okay. What we do is Department of Labor asks us to serve our community and the low income and the local community. And so the way that we do that is we purchase a house and renovate it and then sell it to a low income family for a very affordable cost. We just did that on Pearl Street, 1221 Pearl Street. In the pictures I'll email you, you'll see the transition from the beginning to the end. And then we've also been a part of building a playground at a camp that we use for leadership development and team building exercises. We've done a lot of work on this building here, and then of course we're about to start on our next house, which is on Bus Avenue. We will be starting that this summer. And so I figured one of the best ways to talk about our program and what we're doing is to have some people who are part of our program. So we have right here, this is my friend Malik. He's in our current cohort. This is the first cohort of this grant. So Malik, you want to kind of give them an idea of what you experience in Youth Build? Yeah, like what is Youth Build to you?
You've given me the world to me. It's taught me a lot throughout the 2 months that I've been there. It's taught me how to, be well behaved, think about myself. It's very hard to explain in a certain way. So it taught me how to be a great member of the family. It's like that. It taught me how to be about myself and respect others and respect elderly. This means one thing. I live in a place.
What are some of your goals we were talking about earlier?
My goal is to get my GED and to become better at math than I am.
Do you guys have any questions for him?
I do. How many students are in your current cohort, and how long is the cohort? How long does it usually go?
So right now we have started with 11 students in this cohort, and a cohort typically lasts for 6 months. But that just means that is 6 months of intensive. They come every day. They earn a small stipend of $20 a day. They're with us day in and day out, where they split between academics and construction. However, we're funded to the point that we can serve the student even up to a year after that cohort. So if a student, let's say, doesn't achieve all the goals, or they still want some work, they need some help, we're still along there with them for that whole year. Our goal, though, of course, is by the end of that 6 months that they're in a place that they're ready to get employment. But what we find a lot as well is that students are still working academically for their goals to get a GED or a diploma, so we still walk alongside them after their cohort.
So you offer some wraparound services even?
Oh, yes.
Up to a year afterwards?
Yeah, so the Department of Labor gives us money to train the students, on the forefront during the cohort, but they also provide funding for us to pay for supportive services. So if a student needs help, pay for a driver's license, if they need help, if they get, like, let's say we put them in a job but they need work boots, we can help buy them work boots. We've helped pay for drug counseling and things like that as well.
So I actually have a youth build young man working with me in my store, Chris
Bird?
Yes, so it's going very well.
Oh, good.
My question for you is, how do you get involved? Like, are parents reaching out to you saying, hey, I think my child can benefit? Is the school counselor doing it? How do you select kids for the program?
That's a great question. Typically, in the past, it's been word of mouth, and that can be effective to some degree, but we created a website now that we're using as a tool for people to apply. So anybody can go to bentonharboryouthbuild.org, and that is for either if you're an employer, or if you're a community member, or if you're a student who's interested. You can find out all the information you want, and you can also apply for Youth Build on that website as well. Our next cohort will be starting in the fall around September, so we're really going to be pushing
Sorry, what are the ages?
16 to 24. And so we are trying to create some recruitment partners to answer your question as well. So I've connected with KPEB, Boys and Girls Club, Court, some other organizations that are mixing with students that would be a benefit from Youth Build to try and bring them in and get them interested in what we're doing to send students our way as well. But that website is a big tool for them. I also wanted to have my friend Jasmine here share. Jasmine is one of our students from our last grant. She graduated Youth Build program. And with this new grant, we wrote in a position for a 1 to 2 year apprenticeship for a student who graduated to join on staff as our assistant to our construction manager. Dave Orr is our construction manager. He's the one who's with them doing the hands-on training. He's a licensed builder. He's there at the house. And so Jasmine is our first official construction assistant, and she's on staff full-time, learning with him. And so I kind of want to give her a chance to share about her experience as well.
My name is Jasmine, and I've been with Youth Build for 2 months. Well, on staff for 2 months. I work along with Dave Orr as an assistant manager of construction, and we do a lot. We work on projects, and I also help the kids, and it's fun. I like it.
What's another level?
Oh yeah, Youth Build helped me with my water class. It was an open program at LMC, and I applied and I got my water certificate. It was a 48-hour course, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Yeah. Yeah, to kind of build off that, Jasmine actually, when she first applied for Youth Build, when we first interviewed her back in 2017, she said she wanted to do welding, and we get students who'll say things to try and get into Youth Build, and she said, I want to do welding, and I said, okay, we'll see. And then after, this amount of time, she's actually holding on to it, something she's really interested and very good at too, by the way. She was highlighted in her class, so that was exciting. So our goal for Jasmine is whatever happens next, maybe to try and connect her with employment in welding. That's what she wants to pursue.
Yes, I just wanted to ask you, you have a limit on students that is how many, you just got 11 now, but
Sure.
how many can you?
How many can we serve?
Yeah, how many at one time?
So with the grant we have right now, out of the 3 years, the first 2 years is where we serve the students, the third year is follow-up. And during those first 2 years, we can serve up to 70 students, 70. In the past, we've had, I've looked at that, it was 4 grants. So we've served about 280 students so far since we first started 12 years ago. It's 70 in the students. What we do now is we have our 6-month cohort, and what we want to is have our cohorts overlapping actually. So in a few months, the second cohort will start while the current cohort is going, so we can have students kind of be mentors and bring them in and show them the ropes before they leave.
Mm-hmm.
And that next cohort, we hope to have about 15 or so students.
I have a question, another question. Like you said, Jasmine is on staff, so she's receiving still a stipend or a staffing salary by her being on staff?
So she graduated from Youth Build last year, so she's not a student anymore, so she's a full-time staff member just like me.
Does she have a working, is it a living wage that she's being paid?
Yeah, I won't answer the letter.
So what is the plan? So the plan is so she's been one student that's been hired on. So the goal is to have her to continue to move up in U-Bill. She's in management now, so is the goal to have a certain amount of students every cohort that'll become employees, that'll eventually start running the program and being instructors? What is the goal, the end goal of
Sure.
having students?
That position?
Mm-hmm.
That position we see as a special opportunity for students who really want to excel in the skills trade industry. So for Jasmine, it was welding. And so it's kind of a twofold thing. It's a win-win. For the student, they get the chance to work at a very reasonable salary, above livable wage, and they get the chance to work one-on-one with Dave Orr, get that experience. They get to be now in the shoes of a staff and pour into the students. And also for us, it's great because we get to have somebody who was in a Youth Build program, and now our students who come in, we can say, hey, look, like somebody like Jasmine, she's doing awesome, she's great, this is what she wants to accomplish, and here's where she's at, you could do this too. So it's really a goal for about a 1 to 2 year to allow the student to have very intensive one-on-one with Dave, who is a fantastic mentor, and really set them up for success. So that's why we limited it to about 1 to 2 years, is so that they get the chance then to move on to whatever their goal is, and for previous students to then move into that position and get a chance to share it.
But do they ever get an opportunity to serve as a staff member of Youth Build? Do the students, I understand the 1 or 2 years,
Okay.
do they ever get an opportunity to move on to become a staff member, a facilitator, outside of the 1 or 2 years?
They absolutely can have that chance. Actually, we were talking about that today. Absolutely. Jasmine's not the first student to join the Youth Build staff. We had Taylor Johnson. He was a case manager after his experience in Youth Build. So absolutely, when that time comes, at any point, we're more than happy to keep them around, depending on what position's available and how funding is, of course, but yes.
Thank you. I want to open up for questions from the audience who may have
Sure.
questions about what the bill is. Is there any audience members that would like to ask these young people any questions about the organization?
Thank you. I know that you have a pre-apprenticeship program for construction. You've had this for some years now. Can you tell me how many people have actually gotten jobs in the construction field through your program?
Over the last 12 years, I personally cannot.
Can you tell me what happened last year?
Last year?
Did anyone
Oh,
come
what
out of
happened
your
last year?
program last year and become a construction worker?
I see what you're saying. We had, well, first of all, Jasmine.
She's not doing construction work now, is she?
Oh, yes. Yeah, she's with us on the field every day doing construction work. Out of our last cohort, we had, aside from Jasmine, we had Amari and Cavante. They did construction for a while. And Chantel. So 3 or 4. That's 4 total out of our last cohort.
What do you mean they did construction? Did they have a bona fide job
Yes.
with another company and they hired them and they're still working?
They are not still working. Cavante switched his job, but they did find work in construction, yes.
That's good.
Yeah, but I will, that's a very good question though, because it's very difficult to find students who, after what we do to placement in construction, because employers, we have to find employers who are ready to meet us halfway as well. The biggest obstacle we have is transportation. So I have plenty of students who are very interested in construction, but it's very hard for us to place them because construction is all over the place, and one day you might be working in one part of the city, one day you might be working in a different city. And so even if we have students who are very interested, we're trying to overcome our transportation barrier that we're facing right now. That's our biggest challenge.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we move on? All right, thank you guys so much for your presentation and good luck.
Thank you, appreciate it.
What you're doing, thank you. Mr. Watson.
Thank you, Commissioner Henderson. I'm going to kind of lump all 2, 3, and 4 kind of together because they kind of all relate to each other. The first thing is that we as the committee, the city, needs to put in place the income tax board of review and start and get people on there. As we get our income tax in and we get the income tax being filed, there's going to be people who are going to have appeals. And by the ordinance that was passed, we need a board of review in place, but they also need some training. So what I'm asking the commission and the citizens is that the board of review is 3 city residents. That's the qualification. They have to be 3 city residents, and it can't be officials, city officials. But we need to get people to apply for those positions so we can get that in place to move forward as we continue processing with the income tax. That's really the discussion, is that we need to find out, we need to get people who are willing to serve on that board. Secondly, back in 2017, in December 2017, the city commission passed resolution that income tax refunds could be donated to to charitable organizations. But the city we said that, but the city never did designate any particular organization. So again, the commission needs to make recommendations as to whom or what organization would be the recipients. And I think 3 is a good number, but that's completely up to you to whom that would be designated, or who would be those entities, because we're getting a lot of refunds that are under $10. And we've seen when we send stuff out from the city outside the income tax, a lot of times people don't even cash those checks. But if there's an opportunity to donate it to a cause, and I don't know, whichever it is, that's what we would ask. And then if they want to donate it to one on their own, then they will let us know, and we can forward that money to those organizations. And lastly, the income tax filing threshold. As I said, we got a lot of refunds that are under $10. We got a lot of bills that need to be collected that are under $10. It is a lot of work and a lot of cost involved with going after persons for $3, $2, $1. So what I'm going to ask and recommend is that we set a threshold, I'm saying of $5, that we will not send out notices, we won't go after anything in that respect, because the cost of it does not fit the action that we have to take to get that money. So those are the three things related to income tax as we move forward that we need to address and get in place more sooner than later.
Thank you. On the tax donation, it's a great idea to put them little dollars in the pot. They all add up. And one thing that we don't have is anything to work with our parks and recs. And I think that would be a perfect department for them to donate their 5s and 10s, and then we'll maybe have something in the park for the kids to do, something better than nothing. So that's my suggestion, is the Parks and Recs department. And maybe we can even create another department.
I would say some youth at our school, our local school district, if there's additional funds left over, I think we could ask the people, they could put something on there where they could check a box, either the Harvard schools or the Parks Department. And good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to ask, how are we tracking all of our city income tax money now? We don't have a finance director, so how are we tracking this money?
Thank you, Commissioner. This is Commissioner.
So the income tax is being tracked and administered through the income tax department, which the city of Ben Harbor established when we had the income tax that was passed. That's part of the ordinance. The income tax does not go through the finance department. The income tax information goes to the finance department.
Well,
But
who's there to get that information?
we have an income tax administrator, Mrs. Lisa Galladay. She is the income tax administrator. We have an income tax department. That is it. When you come in the front door, right there to the left, the first window, that is where the income tax department is housed. So they are charged with keeping all of that information in, as far as returns, as far as compliance issues. That is under that department.
Okay, myself as one of the board members on the income tax, how is it that I can get all the information that I need to follow the steps and that you all are taking in keeping up with the dollars, the money? Not the persons that pay in, because you said some information is personal.
All information from income tax is personal. All the FEINs, which is the Federal Employment Identification Number, as well as Social Security numbers, are all confidential. We cannot divulge that information. We can give you summations and totals, but we cannot give individuals as to how much a specific person or a specific entity, basically.
The one thing that bothers me is that when you have a person that is overseeing, who oversees them? I'd like to see people in place to oversee the next one, because so many things get out of place and we don't discover it until it's too late and they've moved someone on and they say, well, that person is not here anymore, so we can't give an account of this, that, or the other.
So the information, Ms. Kennard, stays in the city. That information doesn't go anywhere when a person leaves. So that is housed in the information database under the city tax software that the city purchased for the purposes of tracking the income tax. So
Okay.
that always stays here. What would happen is if an administrator moved on, we'd have to hire a new administrator. But that documentation and that information is not going anywhere.
But what I'm speaking of, if there's someone that moves on because they don't have information and they're not getting the feedback that they feel that they should get, who goes up against that to find out exactly, get the questions answered that they want?
So what information so when you say if
The
someone...
finance director had written a letter that he had some things that he was very much concerned about, according to the city income tax. So we never did find out what was his concerns. We need to know that.
So there's two things here. Number one, the finance director, as I said earlier, is not the administrator of the income tax. That's by law.
But by law, he was supposed to be responsible for
No.
keeping track.
That's not true. By law, he does not administer, nor does he keep track. He gets information relative to it, totals. Whomever that is in the finance department gets the information, totals, they get all the bank information, they get all that. But as far as the intricacies of the income tax, the finance director does not do that.
We have to keep that separate.
We have to keep that separate.
That's why we have to build in a room that was completely separate.
Absolutely.
They have to be completely separate because they're two separate things. We could not commingle any of that.
That is correct.
So that
Okay.
was one of the things that we have to do with you, Ms. Kennard. I understand your concerns. Could you talk with him offline about this specific issue when it?
We have brought this about several times, asked questions about it. And what I like to do, whenever I'm a part of something, I like to be clear and understanding what and where. Because the city of Benton Harbor put you in, you're there for that reason, is to get information and make sure that everything is documented and everything goes the correct way. So I don't think that there's any room for anything being misuse of our finance or whatever. Because so long Benton Harbor has gotten the back end of things. I'm here, and whenever I'm serving in a position, I want to be clear and understanding everything there is, because then people come to me and they ask me questions. I want to be clear and understanding what I'm there for, is to get a clear understanding. That's why I'm asking the questions now. So when there's other little monies offset for this or that, as they're talking about, what if a person has this amount of money over and everything, who keeps the exact figures and everything and make sure nothing is misdirected? I just want to make sure that I understand every aspect of it. This is what I'm here for.
Thank you, Ms. Kennard. I would appreciate that. Next item on the agenda.
That's a discussion, hiring interns.
That one was mine.
Okay.
So, just real quick. So I wanted to ask the question about connecting with HBCUs, getting interns, because many organizations or schools send out interns in the summertime. I have a cousin that went to Scotland for something, to work as an intern for his studies. And so as they're sending out interns, I wanted us to be one of those places where we received interns that would come in and work and train for stipends or whatever it is, and specifically HBCUs, because of the community and the people that we serve in our community. But it's an opportunity to get to breathe new life into our city and into bringing people who are being educated in different areas of city government or city work that may want an opportunity to work in city government, even if it's not in Benton Harbor, but just opening up the opportunity to partner with HBCUs, sending out letters to them to offer opportunities for their interns, just another location.
Okay.
That's what the discussion was around, and how we could do that in terms of setting stipends and that kind of thing, and duties, and what departments we would actually want those particular interns to come in. I was thinking economic development and some other places.
What we can do, I believe the historically black colleges and universities have a governing board or an entity that kind of is the liaison between that. We'd have to reach out to them and see exactly what we would have to do to get on that list potentially. if there is an ability to do that. So I'll get back with the information, get it back at the next meeting if that's fine with you.
Is there any questions from the board?
I think it's a good idea, but I also think that we can open it up to people that, are from Benton Harbor that are in any college. I mean, I know myself now, granted I am quite old, but when I was an intern in college, I was working in Holland and Grand Rapids. I couldn't find an internship in Benton Harbor, so it would have been really nice if there was opportunity here, but there wasn't. So I think there is some students that are from here that are in college, and they may not necessarily go to an HBCU, they can go to Western, Michigan State, University of Michigan, they might be interested as well.
Well, that's a great conversation, because one thing that Benton Harbor got after the state left was skeleton crews. So we're working most of the people are working double and triple hats, and so we need some help. So in the past, we've had interns from Michigan State universities and other places in Michigan, but lately we haven't, and we need to reach back out to them. Lake Michigan College, Vista, and there's several other ones that have capacity to send these educated students. And we need to, this is the season now to start applying for them, because when school starts back again, those seniors will be looking for places to go. So I've talked to our economic development person, and she seemed to be interested, but now that you've asked from this board, maybe we should entertain not just the historical black colleges, but all the colleges in the area, as well as Vista and any of the other ones, AmeriCorps, and all of them we need their help now. And the clerk has always said that she's overworked. So, I mean, if we can get somebody in to help, just, if nothing but file, answer the phone or something to give them. So I thank you for pushing this initiative, but I would really like to add on to all of the Vista and the rest of them. Thank you.
I'd just like to say, this particular item came in discussion with citizens, and particularly Ms. Gavin and I were talking about this particular item, and our citizens have great ideas about things to do and to bring in the city, and so this item came about from a discussion and a meeting that we had, just talking about and brainstorming ideas to make our city better. So this was one of those great ideas. So the next item, I think she needs to come and talk about that one. Did you bring handouts? Because I'm not sure I know the attorney wasn't able to open up that document because of the permissions that they needed to open it up. So if you want to.
I apologize, but can I give you all access?
Yeah, I had access, but I'm saying he couldn't get access to actually look at the document, because you have to send for permissions to open it up. And so you have to give him permission so he can open it up. So I can add it to, if you want to talk about it now and then, he'll get an opportunity to look at it, and then we can bring it back next month as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
because he had to
Okay.
get permission, the clerk talked to me about it today.
So you all do not have copies?
No, we don't.
Okay. I
That's okay.
apologize. I thought that you did. Okay. And I didn't get a request from them. Otherwise, I would have opened it up for them. But anyway, I want to thank you all for your time. I won't talk too long because you're not seeing what I'm saying, unfortunately. I'm here to discuss the Racial Equity Renaissance Zone resolution. I'm proposing this resolution because, as you know, gentrification is a very real thing. That's why I'm very much in support of what Commissioner Henderson is talking about with the HBCUs. I think it's a good idea for us to have those connections with colleges and universities who study this thing, who provide very specific background on these issues, and educate their students on these issues. A lot of things happen
to us, and we don't realize that it's happening until it's already happened. There are 20-year plans already in place, and we haven't, in my opinion, prepared ourselves for it. And so what I am proposing is a racial equity renaissance zone category with specific attention to Benton Harbor area schools. Whether we believe it or not, you know, there is a belief that there is a land grab, that there are entities that are interested in taking our properties and using it for whatever reasons in ways that don't benefit this community. And we have about 85 to 90% African Americans in the community who will be displaced if we do not put any protections in place for us, and specifically our schools. As you could see, the last move on behalf of the governor was to dissolve our school and separate our students among the other districts, right? And so what this Renaissance Zone proposes is that those properties that belong to Benton Harbor area schools will receive this racial equity Renaissance Zone category. And what that category will do is it will prescribe certain protections to those properties. For one, those properties would belong, the land itself will belong to Benton Harbor area schools, and those organizations or entities or developers who are interested in those properties will enter into an agreement and an understanding that the land belongs to Benton Harbor, that 60% of the employees that they hire or contracts that they get involved in on that land will be designated for African Americans, that 20% of those employees will be designated for Benton Harbor High School students and or graduates, and that they will be designated as training sites, meaning that specifically CTE or Benton Harbor students will be able to work there with an understanding that this is some type of training opportunity, possibly even a partnership with the college in which they will receive employment pay, school to work pay, as well as a possible credit, college credit or school credit. And so what it's doing is it's saying, okay, we are going to develop Benton Harbor. Things are going to change is inevitable, but we are writing ourselves into that change and protecting ourselves and making sure that our students and our people are able to benefit from the change. So I'm asking that this committee will consider passing such a resolution that will put us in a position to move into these changes in a way that works for us as well.
So I'm just curious, who owns it now? You're saying that the land will be placed in Benton Harbor area schools, but just curious, who owns the land now?
Okay, so right now, Benton Harbor area schools owns the land, and there's pressure for them to sell and to sell dirt cheap, and there have been a lot of different quasi-emergency management strategies to force them to give up the land, right? And so what I'm asking is that the city establish this category such that whoever comes in, they understand that the land itself, the dollars from the land itself will still go back to Benton Harbor area schools.
Okay, so like for an example, if we're looking at like a school that happens to be vacant, if a developer came in and said, I want to make this condominiums, that would be an example as to what you're talking about.
Exactly. So if this developer came in and said, I want to make this condominiums, they would understand that from formation to implementation, Benton Harbor area schools is going to be a part of this project, and our residents are going to be a part of this project. A high percentage will be designated for work. Training, work, all of those things, which will also help address the academic issue in Benton Harbor area schools, because you're looking at 9th, 10th, 11th grade, I can get a job. What I learned K through 8 is that much more valuable because I'm going to apply it and be working. And it's also going to give us an amazing designation with our CTE, Career and Technical Education offerings, second to no other.
And I'd like to open it up for anybody else that might have a question for Ms. Gavin.
I just want to know if that information will be available to the elected officials. We need to look at it. We need to just digest it. And did I hear you say that you contacted our attorney?
So I did, so I had this particular document sent, but there has to be a permission on it from Ms. Gavin to open the document. So
You
I
sent
gotta
it to the attorney?
No, I sent it to the clerk to actually send it to the attorney.
Oh.
No, no. Send it to the
Okay,
clerk.
but I
Send
think
it
it's
to
a
the
great
attorney.
idea for us to entertain it, but we need to get us all involved in
Right,
it.
right.
Send it to everybody, and then we'll look at it and probably listen to the advice of the attorney, but that's up in the air too, if we listen to
Go
it or
ahead,
not.
City Manager.
Just a quick question, Ms. Gattens is,
Thank you,
Yeah.
Commissioner Hamlin.
how do you ensure that those properties outside of the city fall under the same category? Because there's a lot of property that resides in the Ben Harbor Area Schools District that's not contained inside the 4 square miles of the city of Ben Harbor. Are you going to present this same thing to the other entities, the St. Joe Townships and Benton Townships? Because that's where, like I said, a lot of the properties that are still under the guise of the Ben Harbor Area Schools reside.
I thank you both for the questions. I'll answer Commissioner Henry first. Of course, I'll start with our chairperson of the legislative committee, and then whatever you all decide, I want that document to be available to whoever needs to make that decision.
Send it to all.
Okay, good deal, I will do that. And in regards to your question, thank you, City Manager Darwin Watson. I'm starting here, and I absolutely am going to go to the other entities. I think that, this is the nucleus, and as we get if we get a yes here, I think it will be that much easier and make that much more sense for the others. But even, regardless of what they decide, I think it's important that, that we show here that we are, serious, especially when you look at our percentages here. I think it's most important here, but I'm definitely interested in the other areas as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Kennard, did you have a question?
Yes, I did.
Go ahead.
I'd like to openly make a statement, and most people are not as highly educated as a lot of them, but I try to use common sense. None of the other surrounding schools are been threatened like our schools. I think the high school itself should not be one of these that is included. The high school, we only have one. It should not even be considered or an option to be one of the schools or the properties that would be even thought of being one of the schools that would, property that would be under redesigning it for whatever. I think that should remain, because our children, when they're taken out of their elements, they're under, you know how you feel if you're away from home for a length of time. You have that desire to be home. Other people don't even accept you in their communities. And we know this. It's no strange thing that when our children go to other schools, sometimes they're predominantly, the few of the blacks, and they're predominantly white schools. We've heard threats of them being threatened now, even called weird names. So it's nothing strange for me even to say that among you all.
Right.
We know our children go through these things. So why should we even entertain a thought that our children should be moved for the elite to have these gated communities and live exclusively to view the water, while our children is being redirected to other areas? And it's a form of being, what do you call it, Gentrification. That's exactly what it is. So why should we entertain that thought at all? If there are schools that are empty and been empty for a certain length of time, maybe you might want to put those on sale or something, and maybe put it under this particular contract. But our high school, we shouldn't even entertain that thought, or most of our elementary schools. We need something of our own. Why should we allow people to come into our community and tell us how we're going to rearrange ours for their demographics?
Okay, so I appreciate what you're saying, Mrs. Kennard, and the whole purpose for the zoning category, for this Renaissance category, is to protect our youth and to protect our citizens in that way. And so whatever will happen with the high school, what this is saying is that it will, if something does happen with the high school, it will still be a training site for our students. And so changes are going to happen. And I think that it's up to the community what those changes look like. Amen.
But
In the meantime, we still have to put those protections in place, because if we don't, then the changes happen and they happen without us. And so why I am excited about this idea is it creates training sites for our students. And so regardless of what happens with any of these spots, it's going to be a hands-on learning experience for our students in particular. And the minimum is 20%. That doesn't mean that it can't be 100% training ground or 80%. It's just saying at minimum 20% of your employment is going to be our students and our graduates. And sitting in a classroom is one thing, but if we recall the Skill in the Tech Center, they had classrooms, but what was exciting about them was the hands-on opportunity. The opportunity to actually work on a car, to actually fix a VCR. Some of us don't know what VCR is, but to actually fix those things, to actually have those positions, those jobs. And so I have no interest in taking away the community aspect of it or displacing the community. In fact, the only reason why I would even be presenting this is to preserve the community.
Okay. One of the other reasons I spoke on that, because I know that probably some of the commissioners were here at the time, that they had a percentage of jobs that would be given to our community when they brought in these different other Whirlpool and other corporations in, but that didn't happen.
Right.
That there was other things that was promised to Benton Harbor. This didn't happen.
Right.
So things that we put in place that we want to be a part of, we're never included. So that's why I'm cautious about these things that happen.
Yes, that's
So I'm
exactly.
telling you, it's sometimes they come and it's all planned out and it looks beautiful. Even redesigning your city. If I want my house redesigned, who's going to redesign it? Emma Kennard. So we're not in any of the planning of a lot of our cities. We need to be in charge of a lot of things that go on. And it's because we haven't done that cities, people like the governor and all of them, they come in and tell us how we're going to run this city.
That's exactly.
So we got to start taking charge of our own. And if we stick together, we can do it. But there's so many of us broke up and somebody whisper in your ear, so you go one way or the other, and it splits us up. Divided, we fall. But if we stick together, we can make it.
I appreciate that. That's exactly why I'm putting this in place, because nobody's coming to us. This is us saying, this is what we need for us. And so I believe it's important for us to get these things in writing, to be in one accord on that. And so I'm with you 100%.
Thank you, Ms. Gabby.
Thank you.
And next one, hopefully, will you get an opportunity to send it to all the commissioners, and then I'll put it again on our agenda for next month?
Absolutely. I will do that before I leave.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Our next item is the Water Authority.
So that's actually on here twice.
Oh, okay.
It's number 7 and number 9. It's the same, it's.
Okay, the same thing?
Yep, what you have, committee members, in, the Benton Harbor St. Joseph wastewater plant has an agreement that and it started in 1961, 51, I'm sorry. And what it identified at that time was that it would be the city of St. Joseph agreed to accept sewage from Lake Michigan Shoreline Water and Sewage Treatment Authority, which includes Lincoln Charter Township and the village of Shoreham, Royalton Township and St. Joe Charter Township, which is also includes the village of Stevensville. On June 30th, 2017, the authority was dissolved. It was really dissolved and renamed. And all the assets, rights, and obligations of the authority were transferred to the Southwest Michigan Regional Sanitary Sewer and Water Authority. The revised agreement was approved by the Benton Harbor St. Joseph Wastewater Treatment Plant Joint Board on June 21st, 2019. Recommendation that the Legislative Committee recommends to the full Commission the approval of the revised sanitary sewer agreement to include the Southwest Michigan Regional Sanitary Sewer and Water Authority. What this is really all about a name change. You have, in the original document, you had the old name. That is now no longer applicable. The new name is going to be inserted and all the participants must sign off on it to make it official. So that's what this is, and the city as original owner, or still continue to be the owner of the joint wastewater plant, we have to sign it as well.
Alrighty. So you'll be doing this presentation in other communities, in the other communities as
No,
well?
they're doing their own. We're charged with taking care of the city of Benton Harbor. So Lincoln will do theirs, Royalton will do theirs, and all of them will sign on. And then one completed document will then be presented and kept on record at the wastewater plant, as well as the city of St. Joe, city of Benton Harbor as co-owners of the facility.
Any questions from Ms. Bill? Any questions from the audience? Over the wall?
Chairman, thank you for pulling this information up and providing it to us. I've been trying to get it for a while. I have a problem with the authority, and I have a problem with the members to sit on the authority that allow them to take an increase just to keep themselves somewhere that they want to be, but they have no consideration for the citizens of Benton Harbor when they ask for an increase. And so this information is given to the full body. I hope we read it, because it might be something that we need to talk to them about. Talk to our members that are sitting on there representing the citizens of Benton Harbor, and talk to this agreement, whatever it is. And I hear the city manager says they're only going to change the name, but this is an opportunity for us to read it and see what it really does to us and the residents of Benton Harbor. Thank you. But I wouldn't vote on it unless I got a good reading out of it.
Make sure you send any questions that you have.
Yeah.
I said, make sure you send any questions that you have.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions or comments from the audience on this particular item?
Last item is the conveyance of city-owned property to Ms. Rosetta Altman. Some time ago, the city basically, we had 2 properties that were taken off of the foreclosure list for the purposes of helping the persons who were in them. Ms. Altman has been sick, and she is now asking that we convey the property to her. She has paid the requisite money that she had to pay to get for the taxes to be paid up. And so now this is just the last part of what we initiated when we did it. So this is what this is for.
Questions? Questions from the audience about this item?
Do you have any idea where it is?
It's on Broadway. This is 716 Broadway.
Yeah, Ms. Allen.
Resident.
That's her residence,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, glad we look forward to Commissioner. I think this is the end, before we have any other questions and comments. All right, go ahead.
There was, I thought, the reason I was here for sure, I just came off of my
You missed it.
vacation.
When we get done, I'll talk to you real briefly about that. So,
Openly?
Yes, so
Okay.
with that particular item, with the Dollar Ride,
Yeah.
or our attorney has some questions. The attorney from the Dollar Ride, I guess, won't be available until the 10th. And so we're gonna add this to, the agenda for next month. But when I first started the meeting, I talked to the gentleman about, that particular item when I saw him here. Our attorney had questions about something that was changed in there. And so he wasn't able to talk to the Dollar Ride's attorney about those particular items. And I was told that you were contacted too, Commissioner Henry, and I guess couldn't answer the questions that he asked about it. You told him to contact the attorney, and he did, and the attorney was not available. All right, so I will adjourn this meeting